for our final question of the show, we're going to ask each of these guys individually what they're going to be looking at as they attend spring practices over the next couple of weeks. Darnell, what are you going to be watching for?
Well, actually, I'm going to be rereading Stephen King's Dark Tower series. You know, we get a lot of questions. I get a lot of emails from people saying, when's the practice open? I want to come watch practice.
Right.
And one practice is okay, but when you're sticking through all these practices in spring and fall, they do tend to get a little bit monotonous because Broncos practices are very structured. They do some individual drills, they do some skeleton, they do some 11 on 11, just the same thing almost every day. So you get a little bit bored, but the things I'm going to be looking for really is the timing with the offense. Yesterday, the first practice, I think there were more drops in that practice than I saw all fall.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. But a lot of that's the timing between the quarterbacks and the receivers is just a little bit off. And John Beck was able to just absolutely perfect that, where those guys knew the minute they turned their head, the ball was going to be right there. That'll develop over the next few weeks as well as at fall camp. That's what I'm kind of looking for is, number one, the connection between the quarterback and the receivers for timing purposes. Number two, I just look for individuals to stand out, guys to make plays. And that's one of those criteria that Bronco brings up all the time. Guys got to know their assignments, guys got to give the effort, and then guys have to make plays. And if you make a play in spring, coaches will notice. If you jump up, tip the ball to yourself, make an interception. If you stretch out horizontally and catch a ball with a guy on top of you, that will earn the respect and interest of the coaches.
Right, how the team responds to the graduation of all the leaders. John Beck, Cameron Jensen, Curtis Brown. How's the team going to respond? Who's going to step up and be the leaders? Those are things that I want to watch. I want to see how this team spawns and how this team says, you know what, those guys set the foundation, we need to build upon it. I want to see how this team is able to take what they did last year and build upon it. That's what I'm going to be looking for.
During any practice session, you try to evaluate how each unit's doing, and it's always tricky because if the defense is having a really good practice, is that a result of the defense being really good or the offense just stinking it up? So you go with an assumption. Last year, the assumption was that the offense, with all the key parts they were returning, was going to be fine. So any success the defense had was all on the defense. You had to go with that assumption. This year, it's the opposite for me. Defense, with the guys they have returning, I'm going to assume that the defense is going to be very, very good this year, where the offense has a lot of question marks, primarily on the quarterback. So with any offensive success, you want to see that, based on the assumption that the defense is going to be really good. So I really want to see the offense make a lot of noise this spring.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I guess we can watch for. Obviously, we're going to watch to see how the offensive line does with, responds with their new offensive line coach. I think that's one thing that I think a lot of people are interested to see. Well, what type of things are going to be implemented? What are they going to be doing differently? Are they going to be, I think that's one thing that I think.
Brandon, you pointed out yesterday the drills the offensive line were going through at the beginning of practice were different than they did at their time. So immediately there's a difference in philosophy maybe, or the number of drills or what kinds of drills they do.
And how that meshes in with the overall scheme of the
And
offense.
obviously the biggest thing we'll be watching for is the development of the new quarterbacks. Cade Cooper, I mean these guys, you can't tell how they're going to be doing, certainly from the first day. But the first week, it's going to take them time to develop. Seeing how they develop over the course of spring is obviously going to be a huge story, something we'll be watching very closely.
I'd like to know if they're going to have the old Texas Tech Robert and I splits on that offensive line with this new offensive line.
Yeah, they're getting tighter and tighter.
Getting tighter and tighter as the year goes by.
A lot to keep an eye on. Of course, these guys are the experts, so they have a handle on what's going on. Tao Steves, Brandon Gurney from Total Blue Sports, thanks for joining us today. Darnell Dickson from the Daily Herald, thanks as always for being on the show. We'll be back again next week to talk more about BYU football, what's going on with spring practice, as well as everything else that's going on in the sports world.